Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton for Scoop Talk. I'm here in San Diego at Apex 2017. I'm joined by three panelists to discuss the building blocks that come together to make IOM or Industry 4.0 as a solution. We have Tom here from Saline, a contract manufacturer, Michael from Mentor, and Kevin from Circuit Byte. Thanks for joining me, guys. If I can start with you as kind of, if you like, the customer of this process. What is it that's essential at the very beginning of this Industry 4.0 process that you have both internally and externally to be able to get started?
I think the first thing really that really needs to get started is having a look at what you're wanting to achieve. So having a look at what numbers you're trying to have a look at, how you're trying to utilize all of the vast amounts of data to improve, to get faster, to get better at what you do. And one of the things that we found which helped us out initially was being able to just have a go.
Right.
So and that was probably the biggest stumbling block, was where are we doing, where do we start with this? And so getting in there straight away was
and having a go. And you talked about having numbers that you wanted to measure, creating some kind of KPIs, some kind of performance indicators for the project must be important.
Indeed. Actually coming up with those, kind of almost it's a self-repeating cycle. So after you've given yourself a little bit of direction, we want to improve our quality, for example, you start having a look at a few of those numbers, then you're thinking, now leveraging this data, now I can actually measure this. I could measure my throughput, I could measure how we're doing over time. And as soon as you start seeing the numbers, that really, really helps with how you want to go in the future when you start expanding into making the connected factory more of a tool to help improve your business.
Yeah, and then you're actually adapting those KPIs as you go. Michael, from your point of view, is that typical of what you're hearing from EMS and OEMs that you're speaking to? And do they also feel that they don't quite know where to jump off and they don't quite know how to get all the building blocks together?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I feel your pain here, because what we have in manufacturing today is a bewildering place. We have solutions from machine vendors, from solution providers, even the ERP and MES guys. How are we supposed to fit all of those together into a connected factory whilst still retaining the value of what we've invested in? I mean, this is what you want to do. So utilizing the machine vendor software to the full amount, utilizing the site level software to the full amount, the supply chain, the quality, getting all of those elements linked together is probably the most important thing to do. Because this is not a jigsaw where we're trying to do a jigsaw. This is something where we're starting with something and trying to evolve it. And the way it evolves is by the numbers. You do things that create value, that create profit for the business, ultimately. And from to do that, you kind of take the data from all of these different opportunities. So this is the best way, I think, to approach it.
Yeah, Kevin, when you look at it from your point of view as an integrator that kind of looks at some of the bigger software packages, but some of the smaller elements that you need to put in there, how do you put that puzzle together? And is one of the challenges defining, as he says, the KPIs and the ROI on that whole process?
Well, our first task as an integrator is first off to listen. So to listen to what you want to achieve, and adding to that. So it's not just rubber stamping and saying yes, of course, but saying, do your expectations make sense? Do your expectations jive with our experiences and our knowledge? And if not, making it very clear in what way they don't. So as an integrator, you can almost see us as a sort of referee of saying, all right, do those expectations match what the vendors of the software packages or the machines are able to supply? And just making sure that reality and expectations stay in line and continue to stay in line as the project progresses.
Yeah, and that becomes much more collaborative between you and the manufacturer you're talking to. What about the collaboration that's required between all the different vendors in the marketplace? From your point of view, that's equipment suppliers, a number of software suppliers, a number of even consumable suppliers. Are they happy to collaborate? Are they sufficiently open at the moment?
I think that depends company to company, but in general we found so long as we were being open and we were trying to help share with our vendors, what we were trying to accomplish. Usually people were very into and wanted to assist us with what we were trying to achieve. And through doing that, we've even found new avenues to approach, new pieces of information that we didn't think that we needed to start with, but then we start to rely more and more on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the collaboration piece is kind of key, and it really does have to be that customer, what do you want, and then vendor saying this is how you do it, and then both of you getting back around the table and saying in the future we need to keep on doing this.
Yeah.
And having that sort of like maybe a structured framework is almost like a cultural change with Industry 4.0, and having a connected factory, having a framework for like how you would approach expanding and evolution. I thought that was a very good word used. How you approach that evolution should be kind of in a standardized way with the inception of the idea, and then working with your partner to achieve what goals you're trying to develop.
And then your role becomes, I guess, very, very consultative as well as collaborative. You're bringing new ideas to the table and constantly evolving that framework. Tom seems very open and very clear on what he wants. Is that typical, or are there a lot of people that think, I just want to buy it and get it from one person?
It is fairly typical, yes. There are, of course, plenty of companies who just want to, push the task off onto a general contractor, if you will. Our experience have also been similar to what you were saying in terms of the openness of machine vendors, certainly software vendors, to work together, which doesn't mean that we never have to bang heads occasionally, just to get the priorities matched, because it's not always the same priority to a machine vendor who's already got the machinery in there and working. And again, that's our task to make sure that priorities and information gets exchanged also in a timely manner.
Yeah, and get those objectives set. It's almost like having an IOM process within the process itself, isn't it? Getting connected and aligned on that. Michael, when you look at it as a software vendor that's looking to provide quite a large part of that puzzle, how important is it for you to be able to say, actually we've got this bit, but actually we need this module here or this additional module here, and to be able to actually be, a little bit agnostic and a little bit bolder in the way you bring all those parts together?
I don't think it's ever going to happen that there's going to be one supplier for any one factory of smart solutions. There are areas of expertise, for example, with machine vendors who know exactly their machines. They want to provide customers with Industry 4.0 solutions that are very much tailored toward their technology, their area of specialization. You find that there's a layer of that within the line of these different machines. They want to share information from one machine to another in order to deliver those solutions. From the next level up, where we are, we don't want to go down there. We want to share the information to provide the site level solutions, and we won't provide the whole thing because there will be already maybe homegrown solutions that also want to be there, or other vendors who will be there. So I see the complete picture as being something that has been made up of all of these individual solutions, all of which are very specialist to what they're doing. However, they're all working together, all sharing the same data, all creating value for each other.
Yeah, and that's where things like common languages and standards becomes really important, and that's kind of a separate debate. I wanted to come back to you, Kevin, because something like bomb connector, which kind of almost sits on one end of this, is kind of interesting. It's where you go from the manufacturing to some of the business processes as well. It's very important to take as a holistic approach to this solution as possible and involve things like supply chain and other solutions.
Absolutely. I think the earlier you can start applying Industry 4.0 principles, the better. And we always talk about manufacturing, which is where we're coming from, but applying those also to design, supply chain, designing in the right part from the beginning is something which is going to make our job and the job of our customers all the easier as we start actually producing product. And getting that out the door.
Okay, and from your point of view, you're the IT guy at Celine, so I think that's really interesting. Do you look at more of the business processes than just manufacturing as you work with operations and all the different departments, like like design or new products introduction? Is it your job within your organization to bring all those together in one connected way?
Very much so. The different systems integrations that we have to do, especially when we're starting to have a look at Industry 4.0 and we're looking at the different KPIs that we can get out of everything, we need to be analysing more than just the raw production, because that's not necessarily where the bottlenecks are. So it could be up front, it could be some things that are taking too long in quoting, it could be something that's taking far too long with the acquisition of materials. If we're not looking at all of these statistics, we're not looking at where we can add the most amount of time and most amount of value, and be able to fine-tune our manufacturing process by having a look at where we can make time savings, where we can make different values to add to the different departments. And we're slowly starting to do that at Celine, and it's really, really interesting to see how we can apply that. I liked how you were saying applying that mindset to everything, to all aspects of the company. And it definitely seems to be something that we're stepping into a wealth of information that's really going to help.
And providing value and exciting your customers as you do that. Last question for Michael and Kevin as vendors. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I've spent way too much time talking to vendors about Industry 4.0 and not enough time talking to contract manufacturers. Most of the conversations I'm having with contract manufacturers now involve a bit of this. It feels like we've gone from talking the talk to walking the walk a bit. Do you think this year is a breakout year? Do you think we are actually getting to the point of actually applying processes?
I very much hope so. Because I think the fundamental tools are there. I mean, a lot of machine vendors now are totally open to sharing information. We have open manufacturing language to be able to do that. We have people now with expectations, like you have the expectation that you want to get this thing achieved this year. So something on the table that's going to be 2 or 3 years away, sorry, we need to get going now. And that's the kind of message we're getting not only from customers, but also from machine vendors themselves that want to play in this kind of party. They want to provide their solutions too.
So we're not just talking about concepts, we're starting to talk about reality and real measurable results.
I'm going to be actually even more optimistic than Michael and say I don't just hope so, I'm sure of it. I had a family dinner on Sunday night, and my 75-year-old aunt asked me what I thought about Industry 4.0.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, that shows that it really is becoming real. It's becoming mainstream, is a good way to put it.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting. I think it is going to be a breakout year. What I saw at CES was people talking about augmented reality, talking about artificial intelligence and how they connect to these Internet of Manufacturing processes. So there's lots of exciting stuff going on. Guys, thanks for a really good conversation. Absolute pleasure, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.